Many CELPIP candidates struggle with the speaking test, not because they can't speak English fluently, but because they're not prepared for the topics. Here's the truth. Certain themes come up again and again across the CELPIP speaking tasks. If you know what these topics are, you can prepare relevant vocabulary and strong examples in advance. Strategy makes all the difference. This is the approach candidates use inside our CELPIP packages, when they focus on strategic preparation rather than simply studying harder. Their scores can transform dramatically. In this video, we'll go through 10 common CELPIP speaking topics, and you'll get high-scoring vocabulary and grammar for each one. By the end, you'll know which topics to prepare for these CELPIP speaking tests. Let's dive in. Topic number 1 is work. This topic can come up in a variety of ways. For example, you might be asked to give advice to a coworker who is struggling with a difficult situation at the office. You could be asked to describe a professional experience that was meaningful to you, or to talk about a challenge you faced in a workplace setting. You might also be asked whether you think employees should be given more opportunities for professional development at work. It's important to have specific vocabulary ready for this topic. Learn words and phrases like workplace dynamics, workload, professional development, and navigate challenges. Don't just say, "My job was hard." Instead, use more specific language like this. "The demands of that role pushed me to develop skills I wouldn't have built in a more straightforward environment." To show your grammar range, use conditional sentences. For example, if I were in your position, I would focus on building strong relationships with your colleagues early on, as this tends to make a real difference in how comfortable you feel at work. You can also use concession clauses to add depth to your answer. Although the pressure of a new job can feel overwhelming at first, most people find that their confidence grows considerably once they've had time to settle into the role. Make sure you always develop your answers with specific examples, because this is what the CELPIP examiner is looking for. Topic number 2 is friends, family, and relationships. You might be asked to describe a time when a family member or close friend supported you through something difficult. You could be asked to give advice to a friend going through a conflict with someone they care about. Another potential question is whether you think people today make enough time for the important relationships in their lives. Essential vocabulary includes phrases like a source of support, work through a disagreement, maintain open communication, and come to an understanding. Don't simply say, "My family helped me a lot." Instead, use more precise language like this. "My family was an incredible source of support during that period, and their encouragement gave me the confidence to keep going." For grammar, use the past perfect tense like this. "By the time I finally spoke to my friend about how I was feeling, the tension between us had already been building for several weeks." You can also use relative clauses to add detail and complexity. For example, "My sister, who had been through a very similar experience a few years earlier, was the person I turned to first, and her advice made an enormous difference." Topic number 3 is travel and transportation. This is a very versatile topic that can appear across many different CELPIP speaking tasks. You might be asked to give advice to someone planning a trip and recommend what they should do or avoid. You could be asked to describe a memorable or difficult journey from your own life. Another question might be whether you think cities should invest more in public transportation infrastructure. Key vocabulary includes phrases like a seamless travel experience, logistical challenges, and navigate public transit. Don't just say, "The trip was really good." Instead, use more descriptive language like this. The trip was genuinely one of the most rewarding experiences I've had. Despite a few unexpected setbacks along the way, arriving somewhere completely new made every hour of travel worthwhile. Also, don't only use simple sentences like this. The commute was bad. Instead, try this. The daily commute was exhausting and ate up a significant portion of my day, which had a real impact on my energy levels by the time I got home. To show your grammar range, use result clauses to bring your story to life. For example, the delays were so significant that we missed our connecting flight entirely and had to spend the night at the airport. You can also use conditional sentences to give advice. If you're planning to travel during peak season, I'd strongly recommend booking your accommodation well in advance to avoid paying inflated prices. Topic number 4 is technology and social media. This theme covers a wide range of angles. You might be asked to describe a time when technology made your life significantly easier, or, on the other hand, caused you a real problem. You could be asked to give your opinion on whether social media does more harm than good. Another potential question is whether people today rely too heavily on their devices for everyday tasks. Essential vocabulary includes phrases like these: digital well-being, online presence, filter information critically, and impact on mental health. Don't simply say social media is good and bad. Instead, use more sophisticated language like this. Social media is very much a double-edged sword. It can be a powerful tool for staying connected and building communities, but it can also have a significant impact on people's mental health if it's not used mindfully. For grammar, use concessive clauses to present a balanced opinion. Even though the convenience of instant communication has made our lives considerably easier, constant connectivity has also made it harder for people to truly switch off and recharge. You can also use conditional sentences like this. If people were more intentional about how they use their devices, I think the quality of their everyday interactions would improve significantly. Now, here is something important. Many CELPIP candidates think that knowing common speaking topics is enough to get a strong result, but it's not enough. To do well in CELPIP speaking, you need to know what the examiner is looking for. For example, you need to use advanced vocabulary and grammar naturally. Develop your answers with specific examples and speak fluently from start to finish. That's exactly what we teach in our CELPIP packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the speaking test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how CELPIP speaking questions are designed and what skills they need to answer them successfully. Our CELPIP packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, mock tests, templates, and much more. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, click the link below to learn more. Topic number 5 is health and lifestyle. It's a great topic because you can draw on personal experience. You might be asked to give advice to a friend who is feeling stressed or burnt out and needs to make some changes. You could also be asked to describe your own approach to staying healthy and managing your energy. Another question that might come up is whether employers have a responsibility to support their employees' mental and physical well-being. Here is some important vocabulary. Maintain a healthy routine, manage stress effectively, avoid burnout, and find a sustainable balance. Don't just say exercise is important. Instead, use more precise language like this. Regular physical activity has a significant impact on both your energy levels and your ability to concentrate. To show your grammar range, use modal verbs of recommendation. Here is an example. I'd strongly encourage you to carve out at least some time each day for physical activity. even if it's just a short walk. Topic number 6 is hobbies, leisure, and learning new skills. For example, you might be asked to describe a hobby you enjoy and explain why it's meaningful to you. You could also be asked to talk about a time you decided to learn something completely new and what that experience was like. Key vocabulary includes phrases like pursue a passion, a sense of accomplishment, and a welcome break from the routine. Don't just say, I enjoy cooking. Instead, use more vivid language like this. Cooking is something I find genuinely creative and relaxing. It's one of the best ways I've found to unwind after a long day. For grammar, use the past perfect to sequence your learning story. By the time I had been practicing for a few months, I had already noticed a significant improvement, which kept me motivated to keep going. You can also use purpose clauses to explain your motivation. I took up photography in order to develop a creative outlet outside of work, and it ended up becoming one of the most meaningful parts of my weekly routine. Topic number 7 is shopping, services, and consumer choices. This topic covers a wide range of angles. For instance, you might be asked to compare 2 products and persuade someone to choose one over the other. You could also be asked to describe a time when you received poor service and explain how you handled the situation. Another potential question is whether you think people today buy far more than they actually need. Essential vocabulary includes phrases like these: value for money, a worthwhile investment, and weigh the pros and cons. Don't just say, I chose the cheaper one. Instead, use more precise alternatives like this. After weighing the pros and cons, I decided that the more affordable option offered better overall value for money given my budget and needs. To show your grammar range, use comparative structures. Check out this example. While the premium option is undeniably higher in quality, the more budget-friendly alternative is considerably more practical for someone who doesn't need all the extra features. You can also use concessive clauses. For instance, even though the upfront cost is higher, the long-term durability of this product means that it will actually save you money over time, making it the smarter financial decision. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 3 more topics that are common in the CELPIP speaking test. Topic number 8 is community and neighborhood life. You might be asked to describe a public space in your neighborhood and talk about what makes it a good or poor environment for residents. Furthermore, you could be asked to give your opinion on a local issue, such as noise, safety, or access to green spaces. Here is some important vocabulary: community cohesion, a welcoming environment, public amenities, quality of life. Make sure you don't use only simple sentences such as, the neighborhood is nice. Instead, use more descriptive language like this: the neighborhood has a genuinely welcoming atmosphere. It's the kind of place where people know their neighbors and look out for one another. For grammar, use relative clauses to add detail to your descriptions. The local park, which serves as a gathering place for families throughout the week, is one of the things that gives the neighborhood its distinct character. You can also use conditional sentences. For instance, if residents were more actively involved in local decision-making, many of the issues affecting the neighborhood could be addressed far more effectively. Now, let's continue with topic number 9, environment and public issues. You might be asked to give your opinion on whether individuals or governments bear greater responsibility for addressing environmental challenges. You could also be asked to describe a community initiative you've been involved in or heard about. For vocabulary, learn words and phrases like these: sustainable practices, carbon footprint, raise awareness, community initiative. Don't simply say we should protect the environment. Instead, be more precise like this. Adopting sustainable practices at the community level is one of the most impactful ways individuals can contribute to meaningful environmental change. To show your grammar range, use complex comparisons to give a well-rounded answer. For example, investing in renewable energy infrastructure is considerably more cost-effective in the long run than continuing to rely on fossil fuels, particularly as the costs of climate-related damage continue to rise. You can also use purpose clauses like this. Many cities across Canada have introduced local composting and waste reduction programs in order to reduce landfill use. Topic number 10 is unexpected or unusual situations. In task 8 of the speaking test, you'll be shown an image of something strange or out of the ordinary. You need to describe what you see and offer a possible explanation for what's happening. It's also a theme that can appear in the personal experience task. For example, you might be asked to describe a surprising or awkward moment from your own life. For vocabulary, learn words and phrases like these: peculiar, out of the ordinary. It appears as though one possible explanation. Don't just say, "This is a weird picture." Instead, use more precise and engaging language like this. "This is quite a peculiar scene." It's not something you'd expect to come across in everyday life. To show your grammar range, use modal verbs of speculation. They help you sound more natural and advanced. Check out this example. The people in the image could be taking part in a social experiment, or they might simply have found themselves in an unexpectedly amusing situation that nobody had anticipated. You can also use relative clauses to add detail. The woman in the foreground, who appears completely unfazed, is a striking contrast to the onlookers behind her, all of whom seem genuinely surprised. That's it. Those are 10 topics that are common in the CELPIP speaking test. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, check out our CELPIP packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, practice tests, templates, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their CELPIP score too. See you in the next video!